It's absolutely possible to protect your energy without closing your heart. You don't have to choose between boundaries and connection. You can have both, and your nervous system will thank you for it. Hi, my name's Toni. I'm the Trauma Doula. I'm a medicine worker and somatic guide, and I'm here to support Black sheeps, highly sensitive people, empaths, cycle breakers who are ready to step into and become who they were truly meant to be before trauma told them who they should be. And I'm here today to talk to you about boundaries and the energetic implications of not having boundaries. Okay? All right, let's get into it. So what are energetic boundaries? First and foremost, so energetic boundaries are the invisible exchange in your field and another person's field, right? So trauma, enmeshment, codependency can dissolve or distort your boundaries altogether. And the thing that tends to happen when your boundaries get distorted or dissolved or energetically mishmashed around is one of two things. I'm sure there's some other third thing, but right now we're going to talk about the two things. Firstly, you begin to build up walls around everything so that people can't connect to you anymore, and you become isolated and lonely. And these walls are built up so that the wrong people won't connect to you, sure, but the right people won't either. The other thing that happens is you go in the complete other direction and you have these porous, like borders, endless, like portal type boundaries where you don't exclude anyone. Everyone's your friend. Everyone can be invited. Everyone is available and open to come into your energy, whether they're givers, takers, or straight up haters, right? And what that does is it puts you in situations where you are in relationships a lot of times with people who are harmful for you and harmful to you and to your well-being. And it's just like this open energy that doesn't have any kind of mesh to pass through before getting to you. So energetically, anything and everything comes in. But when you allow anything and everything to come in, because of who you allow to surround you, you will naturally repel a lot of times the right people because you're surrounded by the wrong people. And both of these extremes are not what we want when we're talking about energetic boundaries and allowing ourselves to be in connection with people and protect our heart and be the keeper of our hearts, while at the same time allowing the right people to come in and support us and be around us and to be in communion with us in a sacred way. Both of these patterns are adaptations. They are the way that we respond to what has happened to us. They're the way that we respond to different traumas and different ways that we've been raised and different ways that we have interacted with people. And oftentimes it is because of our backgrounds that our energetic boundaries are the way they are, especially if we have not done any boundary work or any recognition of why we have people in our lives and who they are and what they do for us and how they affect us, right? Some people think that, oh, we should help and do for you personally, should help and do and be for everybody, whether or not they're harmful to you, right? And that's dangerous. And other people are like, no one, never, exclusionary, but that ends up being a very lonely life and unfulfilling. So there is a middle way. There's a middle way to set up and support yourself through boundaries and energetic work so that you can have safe connections and supportive connections, okay? So something that I often talk to my clients about is oftentimes their boundaries are already back here when they should be here. And so you are interacting with people back here when your boundaries are here. And then you wonder why you're drained, you're lethargic, you're all these things. It's because you're back here and allowing people to interact with you here. And this isn't even where you want to be. This isn't safe for you. This isn't supportive for you. And so then you have to reestablish all of these friendships and relationships. And this is why there's a culling of relationships when you start to do boundary work, because not everybody wants to be here with you. And that's okay. Let them go, because there's plenty of people that are going to want to be here with you instead of back here crossing your boundaries, right? And so part of that boundary work is recognizing where you can meet people at, and how you can meet people in a way that is safe and supportive and grounded for you, right? Because your boundaries are about you. They're not about anybody else. They're about how you want to interact with the world, how you want to interact with people. They're not about trying to change anyone. They're only about trying to support and shift yourself. And so something that I think we always kind of get mixed up with is like, a boundary is not an ultimatum. I'm gonna say that again. A boundary is not an ultimatum. Now, you may be shifting access of yourself to people, but that's not an ultimatum. Those are different things. So here's the thing. Oftentimes, the highly sensitive, the empaths, the people, my people here, okay, you were associating boundaries with rejection, with conflict. Maybe people fought you on your own boundaries and didn't have a healthy association with themselves and their boundaries, so they didn't reflect you. It didn't reflect well for them that you were having boundaries. Sometimes you might think setting a boundary is being mean, and then you feel guilty. Associate the being mean thing with this thing on TikTok that happened where everybody was like in their villain era, and it was just them setting boundaries and stuff. And it was like, what's happening here? Like, you're setting a boundary? That doesn't make you a villain. But this is the dominant thought when it comes to supporting yourself and saying, I can be in relationship with you in this way. That's what feels good to me. What feels good to you? And there's no meeting in the middle of your boundaries, right? There's only meeting in the middle of their boundaries and your boundaries, right? So if your boundaries are here, no one's pushing their boundaries back to meet each other. That wouldn't be healthy. That's not healthy, right? If you feel like you have to push your boundaries back, or you have to push someone else's boundaries back to be with them, then you're probably not in a healthy, safe, reciprocal relationship. And I don't care if that's family, I don't care if that's friends, I don't care if that's lovers, husbands, wives, vibes. Okay, I don't care who it is. If anyone is having to move their boundaries back past where they want them to be, it's probably a good reason to shift some energy and say, hey, this isn't safe for me. This isn't good for me. And this isn't good for you if you're both doing it, right? The other thing is, we are often taught, especially if you are a female body person in a female body, you are often taught to override your own needs and your own comfort for the comfort of other people. Okay. And because of that, it feeds into that, oh, I feel bad because I don't, all of that energy. So energetically, you're squelching yourself so that someone else can be up here, right? In this relationship with yourself, not good. Not good. It will harm you in the long run to continue to push yourself down so that someone else can get up, okay? And there's so many people I've seen who have lived their lives putting themselves on the ground in the dirt so that someone else can have a seat and can stand up and can climb. And it never works out. It doesn't. What are you getting out of that? And that's the question I want you to start to ask yourself when you're talking about your boundaries and such is, what am I getting out of putting myself in the dirt so that this person can sit? What am I getting from that? Or do I feel guilty about that too? Because oftentimes there's also kind of this guilt feeling about that as well, or this resentment that starts to build. So if you are finding yourself push past your boundaries and you're finding resentment in things, means it's a good time to reassess and establish some boundaries for yourself so that you can live the life that you need to live. And, because at the end of the day, no one, and I mean no one, is making sure you are fulfilled in life. No one's gonna stop their lives to make sure that you get fulfillment just because you put yourself in the dirt so they can have a seat. No one's going to make sure your bills are paid because, somebody didn't want you to move across the country because it would cross their boundaries in your relationship, right? That sounds like an ultimatum, doesn't it? Ultimatums and boundaries are not the same. It's a tactic of a narcissist to use ultimatums and say that they're boundaries to control you. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So if that's happening, know who you're working with, know who you're dealing with. But that was my little That was my little rabbit trail of this video. All that is to say is no one else is going to walk in your shoes ever. So you might want to make sure that your shoes are the ones that you want to have on, and that you are for you, and that you are leading you, because people are gonna go on with their lives. Whether or not you were people pleasing for them, whether or not you overgave, whether or not you bowed down and made it so that you could make their life comfortable while you are living in misery. No one's gonna come back around and say, hey, you lived in misery all these years. You need some help? Let me make you happy. That's not gonna happen. And that's not how it works. And honestly, there's just going to be more people who are willing to put you down so that they can get up. So if you don't stand up for yourself, and if you don't put boundaries up for yourself, no one else is going to do it. Moving on. So when you're rooted in your boundaries become an invitation for people to meet you in clarity rather than chaos. And relationships that are founded and tied together in clarity have a lot more room to grow than a relationship that is founded and grounded in chaos, right? You're deciding what you will and won't hold space for, and not necessarily what is right and wrong. Okay, so a boundary isn't right or wrong, it just is. It's just what you need. You may have had to shut down in the past to feel safe, but now is the time for you as an adult to make the boundaries that you need so you don't have to be shut down in your life. When you hold space for your own boundaries and then the boundaries of other people, they can actually become a space for reconciliation with people rather than this place of cutting people off and letting people go and all of this stuff, right? A boundary becomes a place where you can reconcile and resolve conflict with people if you're willing to be brave and say what you really need. And remember, a boundary is about you. It's not about them. It's about you. It's not about them. So if you are navigating boundaries and wanting deeper support, or just a place to come and read more about energy work and boundaries and healing and trauma and all the things, subscribe to my Substack. I am over there every single week and coming soon twice a week, so that I can support my paid subscribers as well as my free subscribers even more now. So anyhow, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.